everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Don't be shy. Here. Yes.
Do you want one with your phone?
Sure. Don't forget to protect your people around here.
What was life like growing up, and what were some particular lessons that you may have learned throughout that time?
Well, I spent my childhood and my teenage years in India in a very small town. And I only have just the most pleasant memories from that time. I know for sure, though, I had one dream, and that was for education, because I come from a caste and a community where education for girls, at least at that time, wasn't necessarily prized. And I was able to go to college just because it was all girls college. I did high school also from all girls high school because my father didn't want to send me to a co-educational place. But I know for sure I always just loved studies, books. Even in my small town, my father subscribed all kinds of magazines and all kinds of books that we got, and every month, monthly book clubs. I was just so into reading and everything. But it's a small place, so I wasn't exposed to the outside world quite as much, even though we traveled a lot. But the traveling gives you only contained sort of knowledge. So when I finished my college, the question came, how would I go for my higher education? And my family thought that should be enough, or you could do postal or something. And that's what my aunts had done. But I really wanted education, so that's the time I do remember having a big sort of, I would say, tantrum throwing to say that I really want to go to a university outside of my hometown. And my father would never say no, but he wasn't willing for me to go somewhere. And then, but one thing I would tell you, you ask about the lessons learned. One thing I would say for sure, my mother always supported having dreams, for me to think that I want to really have education, I want to do crafts, I want to do this thing, anything that was available in my surroundings, in my town, my mother always encouraged me to do. And she treated me exactly the same as she treated my brother, even though India, particularly at that time, was of a different kind of society. So I would say one thing I learned from my childhood is that anything is possible if you really want it. At least that's what I grew up with. I was able to go out of town to study because my father said, let's see if you can find another girl who is willing to go with you to study in a university outside of your town, you can go. I was able to find another friend. So two of us packed our bags and we went to this very famous university, Allahabad University. That's where political leaders are shaped and were trained. And I was interested in political science. But that girl only lasted 3 weeks. And after that, she came home. She was homesick, didn't want to stay. So here I was left all alone. And I think I had a great experience there in the sense that it was time of great student activism. Just the upheavals going on, I would say that time. A lot of universities had to be closed for a certain time period. So I saw all of that, but I was there only 9 months. And at that point in time, I got married after 9 months. So then I came to this country and I started my journey new here.
Okay, so when you moved to the United States, what were your initial thoughts moving here, and how was the transition from coming there?
So my transition and my moving here, everything was pretty traumatic, I would say, just because I didn't know I was coming here. I got married to somebody who was living here in the United States. He was a student of a PhD program in engineering at Purdue University. And so when my parents arranged my marriage, I came with him. I didn't know English, so it was pretty traumatic, I would say. However, everything that I saw here was so different and so exciting that I think I would say I felt homesick quite a bit, but I was always excited for the opportunities that were here. And one of those things was education, because I was so much into it. I cried throughout my wedding, and then my husband asked me, why am I so sad when he's so happy? And I said, because you killed all my dreams. I want education, and I know that I can't have that. And he was just like surprised. He says, of course, I'm going to the land of opportunity. It's America. You can do whatever you want. And I really didn't believe him, but he was serious about it. And a month later, I sat in the graduate advisor's office. I was 18 years old, I think just turning 19. And I said I wanted admission for master's program. But the problem was I really didn't know any English, because all my education was in my mother tongue, Hindi. And he translated everything, and the admissions director heard very, very, I would say, sympathetically. But it was hard to really give chance and opportunity or admit somebody without really having any knowledge of English. And I was pretty stubborn. He kept on telling me, why don't you take undergraduate course? I said, no, but I want a graduate program. I already finished my undergraduate degree when I was 17 in India, and I said, I just want my graduate admission. So finally he says, okay, I can't give you admission, but I'll let you sit in 2 classes and audit them and see what you do. And at that point in time, my real journey began, where I taught myself English watching television. And it's pretty common. I say it all the time. I learned English watching 8 hours of television a day. And I wrote 8 drafts of probably every paper that was assigned, which was every week. So it was really hard work. And but by the end of the semester, I had both A's, and I had the highest marks in both of those classes. So now the committee said, well, we don't know what else to ask her. And therefore they gave me admission. So I absolutely loved being in university. I loved being in library. And I think the transition that started very traumatic because of the reasons that it was there just turned into such a happy time. Even though we were graduate students, we were very poor, didn't have money. My husband was making only $150 in a scholarship, but I can tell you those moments were probably the best moments in my life, because it was the freedom that I was experiencing for the first time. It was the dreams I could see. It was just the opportunities I could sense, and every new experience just gave me just new excitement. And it was really an awesome time, I would say. And that's why I just am so passionate about it. I keep telling students, particularly international students, that just soak in everything. Enjoy whatever university has to offer you, from opera to music, exhibitions, lectures, sports. I said, this is what a holistic experience here is. So try to take advantage of it, because these days are not coming back.
Okay. So after college, what path did you see yourself on?
So once I finished my master's here, my husband and I decided to go back to India. He was on a scholarship where he had to return to India for 5 years, so we both went back and we built our life there. We had 2 daughters in India, and it was on 5th year, almost toward the end of 5th year, when I got a letter from my graduate advisor here at Purdue University, who said, you promised to be back in 5 years for your PhD. They had promised me to give me assistantship and admission if I came back in 5 years, because I did so well in my master's exams. And he said, if you decide to come, this is the last opportunity you have under what's in your files. And both of us just packed our bags, and with our daughters, we moved here, and I started my PhD with 1-year-old and 3.5-year-old. And my husband took a visiting position at Purdue. 2 years I took coursework, and then moved to University of South Florida in Tampa, where my husband took professorship. So I would say when I knew when I would be finishing, I would be going in the academia, because I love education. I mean, the university environment gives me the best thrill. I just love being here, the air. So after 2 years, I also joined him at the same university. I got a position only for 9 months as a visiting professor. But then I guess I just never looked back. From there, I kept on having opportunities. And every 2 years, I got a promotion, whether it was academic or it was education. And I went through the entire ranks of universities thing, first as a professor for 10 years, then department head, then dean, then vice president, and senior vice president. Then I came here to Houston. So it has been really a journey that has taken you upwards, and it has been exciting, I would say, at every step of the way.
I also want to talk about how was life like by having 2 young daughters while going for your PhD and also working. How was that like? How was that experience like?
It's just tough. There's definitely no doubt about that. But I think my husband, he has been a great partner in all of this. It's one thing to support your spouse, and I would say it's totally another thing to actually take his or her dreams and make them your own. And I would just say that that's what my husband did. My dream of getting the highest level of degree, which was PhD, became his dream. And he spent many hours actually teaching me, tutoring me on things that I didn't understand, statistics, all of those research, things that I wasn't familiar because they didn't teach that in India. And so it was tough, but my husband always kept reminding me that time will pass, whether you do it or you don't do it. And he says, I'm here and we'll both make it through. And sure enough, I had great professors, very supportive, and very good network and good support. And I think at the end, I'm so glad, but I would say there were a couple of times where I said, I just can't do it. This just is not going to work. But I had people who said, yes, it's possible. Just don't quit your dreams. And that's why I always tell people, have dreams and don't quit. Just have passion for it and don't quit. And seek help, seek mentorship, because I think I have benefited from that. So I'm glad I did it. And after that, I became a professor. And being a young professor with young children also is tough. However, you just learn very quickly. A couple of things. One is you learn how to delegate things. And secondly, you learn very quickly how to tune out of unnecessary noise. Because you can imagine with 2 children, there's plenty of noise and all kinds of everything going on, plus a dog and a cat and something else, whatever they had, parakeet and all of that. But when you have to work, I could sit there with all of this going on, chaos around the house, and I can tune myself out and I can just focus. And that's some skill I think mothers end up learning. So I just have a lot of sympathy for mothers or fathers who have young children and are trying to make it through. I would simply say, get help, but don't quit.
Based on your previous experience, at the University of South Florida, what are some of the differences from there to the University of Houston?
So I had an absolutely fantastic career there at 22 and a half years, climbing up the ladder. And then when Houston came knocking for this particular position that was open, President Chancellor, I really didn't know University of Houston very much because it was not on national list. So my eyes weren't even on it. And I was told to just take a look, which I did. And I'm glad I did, because what I thought was very unique for Houston, which is hard to find in any city. I just don't know if there are cities like that, definitely not to the same level. One is the incredible generosity the city has and the can-do spirit and embracing and inclusion for no matter where you come from, as long as you are a productive member of the community. People support you, they cheer for you, they don't bring you down. So I think that I would say the encouragement in this city, the inclusivity, the diversity, the generosity of people with their funding, with their money, all of that is just really important. And the thing which is what completely opened my eyes and got me really attached to Houston, and that was its economic opportunities. I mean, it's incredible if you look at the industry here. There was a time when oil and gas was the main thing. Today, Houston is very diverse, and you have so many different industries right here at a stone's throw. You don't have to really go, and the size of Houston is bigger than 37 states in the United States of America. You could be in this metropolis and dream things and make them happen. And I had no idea why, but one thing I knew, this would be a good opportunity to go and try to see what is possible here.
How have your goals for the University of Houston progressed, and how do you expect to accomplish more in the future?
So absolutely, at every step, we've been, dreaming big and accomplishing them. Tier 1, Phi Beta Kappa chapter, medical school, $1.3 billion campaign. Now our next goal is to be one of the top 50 public universities in the nation. And in order to do that, we'll need the support of everybody, but we have to accomplish two things. One is we have to do better on a student success. If our students are not graduating, don't have affordable access, I think we can't achieve that. They have to be graduating, and they have to be successful after graduation. All of that is counted. The second thing is national reputation of the university, which means we have to do really impactful, meaningful, cutting-edge, community-engaged research that makes difference in people's lives. And we, of course, I would say, whatever is our topmost item that is out visible to most people, athletics, it has to do good. So I'm so fortunate, that community bought into the vision, that everybody has been unison about it, and we'll just keep chugging along. And I know we can do it. We will just need to work harder. We have to work smarter. We don't have as many resources as some other institutions in the state, but either you can cry about it or you can take the hand that has been dealt and do your very best. And that is the kind of person I am. That's what I want to see. Let's just play our very best game, support the students, and build a very successful athletics program and have a very cutting-edge research operation here. The rest will take care.